Fairy tales can be weird sometimes. They present strange worlds where only some of the rules of our own apply. You can climb a beanstalk to a world above a sky, or be spirited away by fairies in the forest, or discover kingdoms under the sea. The world of fairy tales may seem like fantasy conjured up by an idle mind, but in fact, they reflect things that are far more universally true. Fairy tales, as we know them, are the product of hundreds, if not thousands, of years of stories shared across cultures, in a time before, in many cases, widespread use of written language. Stories were not read from a book, but memorized and shared from village to village. The result of this process has been stories which reflect not the individual conscious mind of a single author, but the collective unconscious of all those who have shared them. This means that if we know what to look for in them, fairy tales can teach us things that in many cases are true across cultures and time. We will look into one such story, that of the Frog Princess. And while we'll primarily follow a version from Russia, the story of the Frog Princess has been told across Eurasia. While it may appear strange on the surface, a deeper look into this tale of magic and mystery will teach us universal life lessons. My name is Sean. Welcome to Mythos and Logos. The story of the Frog Princess, as we will follow it, begins with three brothers, sons of an old and widowed king. The king sends the princes on a quest to marry, instructing them each to fire an arrow into the distance, and to marry the woman they find where it lands. But the princes do not aim for targets, not apples on the heads of eligible bachelorettes. In fact, they cannot aim at all. As each prince draws and releases his bow, their arrows fly over the horizon, and each must set off on a journey to find where fate has carried his shot. This is the first point where the world of fairy tales differs from our own. Even modern bows engineered for distance can't cover such a distance over a horizon, but this isn't some cause for dismissal of the story. Rather, it's our first cue to approach the story symbolically. The young prince's mother has passed, and their father is preparing for the next generation to be responsible for the kingdom. So he challenges the princes to build families of their own, taking their own shot into the world to see what life they will discover. Of course the princes cannot see where their arrows will land. None of us can know where our efforts in life will take us. Yet we must each, at some point, take a shot into the distance, and only by following it can we find out what the unknown future holds. The oldest brother's arrow strikes at the door of a nobleman, whose daughter retrieves it and welcomes the prince. They are soon wed. The middle brother's arrow, similarly, strikes the door of a wealthy man, either a general or a merchant, depending on the telling, whose daughter retrieves it, and they too are wed. But the youngest brother, Prince Ivan, follows his arrow deep into a swamp. There's neither noblewoman nor merchant's daughter here. As Prince Ivan tracks his arrow down, he finds it being carried by a frog. Frogs feature as curious creatures in many fairy tales. They are magically amphibious, bridging the gap between our own natural and supernatural worlds as comfortably as they shift between land and water in ours. The swamp is where the earth that is our comfort zone meets murky waters, blending into mud which is at once unstable to walk on, yet teeming with life. The swamp is the realm of danger, and also the realm of potential. If Prince Ivan's arrow had led him to a barren desert, he might have had to find himself by searching within. In the swamp, though, the prince finds something that is ugly, but he must integrate into his life. In some tellings, the frog speaks with the prince, while in others she remains a croaking mystery. Yet in either case, the prince is bound to his father's request, and brings the frog home to be his bride. Like his brothers and their wives, Prince Ivan and the Frog Princess are wed. The king then has his new daughters-in-law demonstrate what they will bring to the kingdom. The king's first task for them is to make him a piece of clothing. The specifics of the craft vary across tellings, but in any cases, the brothers' wives present garments that are little better than rags, while the frog princess gifts the king a piece beautiful enough to wear during the holiday feasts. This comes to the surprise of everyone, Prince Ivan included, who wept the night before, thinking that a frog could not possibly have anything to offer for a king. After seeing her intricate gift, the sisters-in-law begin to view the frog princess as a more serious threat. The aristocratic daughters will not be outdone by anyone, least of all a frog. And so, when the king issues his next task to the women, to bake a loaf of bread, they spy on the frog princess. They watch the frog as she pours her unshapen dough directly into the oven and rush home to do the same. But once they're gone, the frog princess switches out the dough for a properly made replacement. When the sisters present their bread to the king, they bring lumpy, charred loaves, while the frog princess brings a loaf good enough to eat at a holiday feast. The king praises her again and calls for a ball to be held in honor of his 3 new daughters-in-law. Prince Ivan weeps at the news. While his wife was able to provide a beautiful garment and a marvelous loaf, she is still a frog. He fears being seen in public, especially in front of high society, with someone so drastically abnormal. But it is here that the frog princess speaks to Prince Ivan. The frog said to him, "Weep not, Prince Ivan. Go to the ball. I will join you in an hour." Prince Ivan was somewhat heartened when he heard the frog's words. He left for the ball, and the frog cast off her skin and dressed herself in marvelous raiment. She came to the ball. Prince Ivan was overjoyed, and all the guests clapped their hands when they beheld her. What a beauty! The guests began to eat and drink. The princess would pick a bone and put it in her sleeve. She would drink a cup and pour the last drops in her other sleeve. When the time comes for dancing, the frog princess twirls beautifully. She waves one arm and lakes and woods appear. She waves the other and birds fly throughout the hall. The guests are mesmerized at the marvelous and magical display. The frog princess exists at the margins of the world Prince Ivan knows, a far cry from the daughter of a noble or a merchant. Her very existence as a frog princess challenges the boundaries of polite society, but in her dance, we see that it is precisely because she inhabits the edges of our comfort zone that the frog princess can work magic. With a husband who wept at the thought of being seen with her, she gathers that which is rejected and cast aside, the bones of the food and the last drops of the drink. From that which has been rejected, the princess is then able to create a new and beautiful life, rejuvenating the society through what it had cast aside. If there's any doubt that it is her outsider status that allows the frog princess to work her magic, it is cleared in what happens next. The elder brothers' wives, who had watched the frog princess and taken their own share of the guests' leftovers, attempt the same dance. No magic happens for them. The bones and the dregs fly out onto the other guests. As jealous representatives of the established order, they have no power of renewal to offer. When the ball ends, Prince Ivan arrives home before his wife and finds the princess's frog skin left over from her transformation. Amazed at the princess's human beauty, and perhaps dreading the idea of her turning back into a frog, Prince Ivan takes the skin and burns it. The princess returns and spends the night, but leaves before daybreak in a rush, telling Prince Ivan that if he had only waited, she would have been his. The specific reason varies across tellings, but in any case, Prince Ivan crosses a boundary by destroying the skin. It was not his to burn, just as the princess's transformation was not his decision to make. She departs, calling Prince Ivan to seek her in a far-off land in the thrice 10th kingdom. The journey that follows differs depending on the storyteller. The version made famous by Soviet animation that you've seen clips of throughout the video combines the story of the Frog Princess with Prince Ivan's battle with the Dark Wizard, Koshchei the Deathless, a story that we will cover another time. In the older written version which we are following, Koschei is nowhere directly to be seen, but another of the most mysterious Russian fairy tale figures appears consistently across these tellings, Baba Yaga. When Prince Ivan journeys to find the Frog Princess again, he goes into the forest. He ventures deep into the shadowy unknown, far from the comfort of his kingdom. This is the realm of Baba Yaga, whom heroes encounter when facing darkness, whether from the outside or within themselves. This witchy woman of the woods is sometimes a friend and sometimes a foe, but is always powerful and always to be taken seriously. Prince Ivan recognizes Baba Yaga's home when he finds it, a hut standing on chicken legs, with the front facing the forest and the back facing the path. The prince calls for the hut to turn around, and when it does, he encounters Baba Yaga herself, who recognizes him by his scent as a Russian far from home. In some tellings, Baba Yaga is impressed with Prince Ivan's courage. In others, he outwits her, and in others still, his story moves her to pity him. In any case, though, Baba Yaga serves as an ally to Prince Ivan, and instructs him on how to get his wife back. In one telling, Prince Ivan delays a year before searching for the princess, and when he does set out, he reaches Baba Yaga's hut, but Baba Yaga, who, by the way, is sometimes depicted as one woman and sometimes as a trio of sisters, tells Prince Ivan that he is too late. The princess stayed with her for some time, but went deeper into the woods, to her sister's house, and will soon be wed to another. So Prince Ivan journeys deeper. And the second Baba Yaga tells him the same, that the princess has gone to her sister, and that her wedding to another is imminent. But when Prince Ivan makes it to the third Baba Yaga's hut, she's impressed by his consistency, and gives him the key to secure the princess's return, along with a magic carpet. Together, the prince and princess fly home, her betrothed in hot pursuit until they cross back into the familiar territory of Russia. The prince's failure of delaying the work that needed to be done nearly cost him his wife, but his consistency after setting out on the journey ensures their safe return. In another version, the first Baba Yaga tells Prince Ivan that to bring his wife back, all he needs to do is hold on to her. But this is easier said than done, as he was so eager to destroy the princess's frog skin before, Prince Ivan must embrace her, as she shifts between a number of hideous and slimy creatures. Prince Ivan eagerly embraces the princess's beautiful human form, but when she turns into a frog, he lets go in shock. The princess flies away, as Baba Yaga says, because Prince Ivan didn't know how to hold her. The second Baba Yaga gives Prince Ivan another chance. This time he holds on for a while, but as the transformations continue, from human to frog to toad to snake, he lets go in fear. Baba Yaga warns Prince Ivan that the third sister will give him his last chance. If he cannot hold the princess that time, she will be gone forever. Once more, the princess transforms into all sorts of creepy creatures. But this time, finally, Prince Ivan is able to hold her through it all. In the end, the princess takes her beautiful human form, and the two fly back on a magic carpet. Whether we face the challenges of a society, the depths of a partner, or the darkness of our own shadow, we are bound to find something hard to hold on to. Prince Ivan's encounters with Baba Yaga give us two important pieces of advice. On the one hand, not to delay the necessary work lest we find it too late. And on the other, to have the courage to face what we find in the darkness. By doing the needed work and learning to hold and care for what we find there, we can also hope to find our way out of the realm of darkness and back home. From the beginning, Prince Ivan's journey did not take him to an obvious place, going into the swamp rather than leading straight to the door of a noble bride. Yet it was specifically what he found in the swamp that was what he, and beyond himself, the entire kingdom needed. The Frog Princess was able to bring that rejuvenation. And in the end, through his trials, the Frog Princess led to Prince Ivan becoming a better man. And it is specifically the darkness, the ugliness, the uncomfortableness that is what's needed in this. It is that the princess is a frog, that Prince Ivan despairs, yes, but that gives her her outsider status. It is also this that gives her the power to bring a new rejuvenation of life to the kingdom. And in his journey afterwards to Baba Yaga, it's almost a continuation of the journey into the swamp. It's into the darkness of the forest, which is the path. It's the darkness that he must face that leads him back out. Only when Prince Ivan can truly confront his darkness, confront that which scares him, and learn to hold it, does he find his way home. And so, all in all, this is much more than a simple fairy tale as a story of wonder and magic. It's a story that, through generations of people who have told it to each other, has picked up a beautiful meaning that we can each learn from. Fairy tales are especially wonderful favorites alongside the realm of mythology for me because they carry so much of the lives of the different people who touched them that I find many of the most universal symbols in there. I would love to hear of a story that had moved you. I thank you very much for being here with me through this. Thank you for your patience as it took a while to get this one out. I thank you very much for your support. Subscribers, Patreon, friends, everyone, thank you for being here with me. And I'll see you next time.